If you're working on a song for Drake, Travis Scott, is that life-changing money?
And I think the producer was owed over $100,000 in master royalties from that.
Today I'm talking with Daniel Cruz, who's helped over 200 producers collect their advances and royalties from songs with artists like Drake, Rihanna, Jay-Z, Kanye West, and so many more. In this video, he teaches us how to navigate getting placements and how to collect royalties for your beats. All right, let's get it. What's going on? I'm here with the bro Daniel. How's it going, man?
I'm doing amazing, bro. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I am so excited to talk with you today. We've been speaking for a while now on Instagram and texting a bunch. I love your content with producer royalty, so I'm really excited to speak. So can you explain what exactly you do and why it's needed?
So I branded producer royalty as a debt collector for producers because I was working for music law firms. You guys might have heard of Adam Friedman, who's one of the top producer lawyers. So what I learned from Adam was that there are a shit ton of producers who have not been paid for their songs and they don't know what to do about it. Now that payment chasing part, everything except for the contract, isn't legal work. So I was like, let me start a company that focuses on that specifically, that actually getting you paid for your song. We kind of take on the role of a manager for the producer and get them through the entire placement process, whether they haven't been paid before, whether they get a new placement and they don't really know how to navigate that situation. They're not confident, maybe don't have a lawyer. All the royalty collections after that, we'll make sure you're collecting all of that. So we don't help producers get placements. That's not what I do. What I do is make sure producers are collecting all the money that they're entitled to and getting them paid for their songs.
It's amazing. And no one else is doing it, at least not that I've heard. Just now that we're on this, how much money are we talking here?
For a small major label artist, they're signed to a major label, somewhere between $1,000 to $3,000, sometimes $5,000, all in. All in meaning split between all the co-producers. So a lot of my clients, they're loop makers overseas and they send music to beat makers in the States, and the guy overseas never got paid. However, what we've leaned into the most now is helping producers collect master royalties. And master royalties are paid out after the advance is recouped. Most advances never come close to recouping because the way recoupment works is, so you get $1,000 advance, you get 3 points. People think, all right, so once the song makes $1,000, then that advance is recouped. It's not how it works. Every $1,000 the song generates, your advance is only recouped $30 because it's recouped from your royalty rate. The expenses from the song and the album also have to be recouped too. And that's recouped at the artist royalty rate, which is like usually 16% for like a major label artist. But like that also needs to be recouped. So we've recently stepped up. We built the trust in the community. We help producers collect master royalties. And that means we're working with producers who their advance recouped. So now we're working on songs continuously with 100 million plus streams. I was working on Polo G and I think the producer was owed over $100,000 in master royalties from that.
So you're saying 100 million streams and beyond to 1 billion streams. That's some heavy money.
Yeah, because, well, all right, this is the number we put. So we say around 15 to 20 million streams, it's usually worth getting set up to collect your master royalties. But that is very much dependent on how big your advance is. If you have a small advance, like we're working on a song with 100 million Spotify streams, 150 million YouTube streams, and he got a $1,500 advance and 3 points. So his shit recouped very quickly compared to some other shit. And also you have to consider how much they really invested into this. Like a music video could cost $1 million. So if they put $1 million into a music video, that has to be recouped too before you get paid. So yeah, there's a lot of variables. Best way to check is using Bands, the app Bands. And I don't know if you heard of Bandsy, but like log in with either your BMI or your Genius. It tells you how much the master has generated and how much the publishing has generated based off of your percentage.
Just to sidestep this, I think a huge thing when I'm talking to other producers, do you recommend that producers have a lawyer review their contracts, or are there certain cases where they don't, or what are your thoughts on this?
This is my main thought. There are 3 things that need to be in every producer agreement that you need to know about. There's nothing that's more important than these 3 things. So your advance/fee, your master royalty rate, and your publishing. So if you're getting like $1,000 advance and the lawyer is costing you $600, is it worth it? Probably not. However, there are situations where the lawyer could get you more money. Now, also, if you ask the label to cover your legal fees, if you're working with a lawyer that has a good relationship with the label, they will oftentimes cover the legal fees. So what is the harm of getting a lawyer then? One thing you could do is reach out to a lawyer and be like, hey, I'm interested in having you represent me. Do you think that you could ask the label to cover my legal fees? And then the label oftentimes will do that.
But then that needs to be recouped then.
Yeah, that needs to be recouped too, for sure. But I'm gonna offer this perspective where, let's say a label gives you a $5,000 advance, and from your share, you only generate like $2,000. The label basically lost money from that. That happens. Like the labels lose money on artists and clearing producers all the time. So that's just something to think about.
Super nitty gritty question, but something I've always wondered about and people have asked me about. What is better, a lawyer who's working on a percentage or a flat fee?
I think a good way to go about it is just like asking for a lawyer if they would handle the process for you for $300 to $500. But I mean, some lawyers really add a shit ton of value. Our company, we add so much value to the process throughout it. Like a lot of lawyers don't help you submit your sound exchange letter of direction. They don't make sure that your publishing is all situated situated the right way, they aren't getting their clients the best deal. I don't have a good answer aside from you can find a lawyer that will work for it for $300 to $600, but they also might not know what they're doing. So I don't know who you're reaching out to. Reach out to us.
Yeah, so reach out to Daniel. And then one other nitty gritty question, but I want to ask it too. Say you're my lawyer and we're doing a percentage basis and you're getting 10%. Say the song we're doing this for recoups. Are you taking 10% of these future master royalties too, or is it only on the advance? How does that work?
It's a great question, bro. So what happens a lot of times is lawyers, unless the producer or the artist has a business manager, the likelihood that they're taking from the back end is pretty slim. Like it's oftentimes, and I've seen it oftentimes in the producer agreement or the letter of engagement, which is your letter with the lawyer, that they will be getting a percentage of everything that you do moving forward, essentially all income that you generate. Now, is the lawyer going to ask you for statements once every 6 months from all your revenue sources? Probably not. But if you have a business manager, then that's the business manager's whole job, and that's what they're getting paid for. So in your contract, it probably says that you are giving the lawyer everything moving forward. So like, let's say the lawyer gets 25% of your advance and royalties moving forward. They might have their own vendor account with the label and get everything moving forward after the advance recoups. Like there's something like that could happen.
What's the most common thing that you see producers doing wrong?
I think this is one that's not talked about enough. I think that producers more often should talk to your co-producers before you agree to terms. The advance, the master royalty, and the publishing. Ideally, you are all on the same page with each other and you all agree to that together. And the additional benefit of that, just posted a clip about it the other day, is you can all use the same lawyer. So you can all save on legal fees that way too. You find the one lawyer that you trust and he negotiates for all of you. So that is another benefit of doing it that way too. And it's just good to talk about the splits and the way you want to do it ahead of time before the placement, but then after you find out about the placement, get on the same page.
Here's the problem. It doesn't usually work like that. As a producer, most likely what happens is you hear a snippet and then the song is dropped within the week. No agreement has been sent to you. How do you suggest handling a situation like that?
My question is, do you prefer to get another placement with this guy who landed the placement or not? If you want to continue getting placements with this guy, it would probably make more sense to go along with what their initial agreement was, because you coming and asking for more afterwards is affecting their relationship. It's up to you. Like if you care more about maximizing the value of this specific placement, then ask for more. The way I would do it is I would go along with it, and I like to play the relationship / long game more than anything. That's what I would do.
What's one of the most misunderstood parts of the music industry in terms of like the actual copyright law, or the three things that you were talking about: advance, fee, master, and publishing?
I reach out, I do cold DM sometimes. I reach out, hey, you have this major song, I'm wondering if you got any master royalties. And one time 5 people responded and 4 of them said the same thing. Oh no, I'm already collecting my master royalties because I'm signed with this publisher. No, bro, that's a completely different thing. Your publisher does not collect all of your royalties. They collect your publishing royalties. Specifically, there are 2 kinds of publishing royalties that they wind up collecting. They can help with syncs as well too, but they're public performance royalties and they're mechanical royalties. There's also royalties from sound exchange, which is a type of master royalty, and they don't collect that as well either. There's no company besides kind of what we do that will make sure that you're collecting all of your master income.
Sound exchange, it's for non-interactive radio, right? Internet radio.
Yeah. Non-interactive streaming, which is streaming where you don't choose a song, like Pandora and SiriusXM. So if you want to check if you're owed money on Sound Exchange, the best way to do it, go on chartmetrics.com and check the Pandora streams, and it'll tell you how much it's streamed on Pandora.
I know we've kind of covered it, but just to make it super simple, say you're a producer and you just got a placement. What is the very first thing, the very next step that you take now?
If you've never got a placement, you don't know about the business side, don't agree to terms until you reach out to somebody who does know what they're doing. There's a lot of managers that know a lot more than a lot of lawyers. Reach out to them first before agreeing to terms.
Well, okay, that brings up the next point. Say you're a producer and you've made every attempt. You're really putting your best foot forward. You've DM'd the artist, you've emailed the label, you've tried everything to get a hold of the person, to get either just the agreement or to get paid. What do you recommend?
The only thing you can do, unless it's a really big song, you hire a lawyer to send a demand letter and make it a little bit more official and threaten litigation if it's a big song. Yeah, so there's really only one thing that you can do in a situation like that, and it is file a DMCA takedown. Now, what we do is we file it just on Spotify first. And what that does is it notifies the artist that somebody filed a claim. They have a couple days to respond. They'll be told, if you don't respond, then the song's coming down. It gives them your contact information so they can reach out to you from there. If they still don't reach out to you, then all right, then you got to take the song down on other platforms. But like at that point, they most likely know about it. And if they still don't reach out to you, then there's nothing you can do. It's time to cut your losses and move forward. There's nothing else. Just to add another, I guess, another thing you can do, I was going to say that you can still collect your publishing on it if you have a producer agreement. Your publisher will likely accept that producer agreement, or maybe even an email chain with the negotiation. You could still collect your publishing if you leave the song up. So my answer is, you file a DMCA takedown, or you find a way to just collect your publishing.
Follow-up question. How do you file a DMCA takedown?
Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube have a form on their website. If you look up DMCA takedown, they'll ask for your information. You just fill out that form, and then within 1 to 3 weeks, it'll probably come down. Title DMCA takedown, you have to actually send them an email explaining it. They don't have a form.
This is something I've always wondered. If you're getting a major placement, if you're working on a song for Drake, Travis Scott, are you making pretty crazy royalties at that point? Is that life-changing money?
Probably not. Obviously, it just depends, because for some people, $20,000 is life-changing money. If you're a new producer, you're not gonna get an all-in advance that's like bigger than $5,000 to $7,500. If you're working with a bigger producer, you might. Like, we worked with a producer who's made a song with Tay Keith. It was his first placement, and they got $15,000 advance. That producer made great money from that placement, and he wasn't the only producer, because he wound up getting a loop with a big producer. Now, like I said before, if you get a song with like 100 million streams and it wasn't like super TikTok viral, and it didn't like get synced a lot of times and all this type of stuff, it was just got 100 million streams, you might make like $10,000 to $15,000 on it on the master side, but that's super rough.
Are there any other things that you feel like, just as we're wrapping this up, that you feel like producers need to know about, or that's something that's hot on your mind right now that you're like, yo, not enough people are talking about this?
For one, it's such a simple thing, but it's the most important 2 words that I can imagine. Follow up. You need to follow up. If you are a producer and you don't follow up, things are not going to get done. Whoever is representing you, or if you're representing yourself, you need to continuously follow up if you want to get anything done. Second thing, if you're a producer who doesn't have major placements, or you're working with smaller artists, you can still get your master royalties. A lot of producers, they just work off that upfront fee. They may lease a beat to an artist, but like, you can still get paid master royalties. And the way that you do it is, you ask the artist, who are you distributing with? If they're distributing with a DistroKid or United Masters, which a lot of them are, you can register your master royalty directly with that distributor. So you'd be like, hey, I want 25% of the master, and you negotiate that, and you can get that 25%. It's registered every time the artist gets paid, you get paid. And that's something to think about. And I don't know any producers that really do wind up doing that. So that's an option too.
And then the final question, the thing that I see that people confuse the most, can you explain the difference of master royalties, whether it's being released through a major label or an independent distributor like DistroKid or CD Baby or something like that?
A master royalty we call points, as a way to simplify it. But usually what points refers to, but not always, points is referring to 3% PPD royalty. PPD is price published to dealer. What it means is, it's the label calculation for how they collect royalties. So the label collects the money, and then they pay the artist out and the producer out from the artist share. The producer's cut always comes out the artist share. Yeah, the point is, if it's 3 points, people are saying 3% PPD. Now, if you're working with an independent artist, it's not a PPD calculation. There's no price published to dealer. They're getting paid on a net receipts basis. What that means is, you take the amount that the song generated and deduct expenses, and then you get paid from that share from it. If you're working with independent artists, we talked about the standard is for a major label artist is 3 points, 3% PPD. The way to translate that to the independent space, or at least the argument that I lean on, is that, yeah, you should probably ask for somewhere between 15 and 25%.
Thank you. A very concise explanation, and I think that's something that, one, I think you explained it way better than anyone else I've heard say it, but I think it's something that most people get confused, and it's something that's tripped me up in the past too. I'm so grateful for you spending the time with me today. I think this is gonna help so many people, bro. I've learned so much just from talking with you, and I love your channel and your Instagram account. Can you tell everyone where they can find you and just plug yourself real quick?
For sure, bro. I appreciate you so much, Z. My personal page is daniel.cruz.music. That's my personal page, but more importantly, Producer Royalty is our company, so it's producer.royalty on Instagram. Those are both Instagram pages. And then if you look up Producer Royalty on YouTube, I'm sure you'll find it. So
awesome. Thank you so much, bro. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much too, man. For sure. Peace.